Last night at Target Field, the Twins recorded their 7th comeback win of the season, fueled by Danny Santana's RBI triple in the 7th, scoring Aaron Hicks with the equalizer. Glenn Perkins then closed the door for his 100th career save, and the Twins' 8th win at home in their last 9 games. Twins feeling right at home again this season. Twins own the best home record in the American League, and fans are taking notice. Another large crowd will be on hand today at Target Field, where the Twins hope to clinch this series with the Rays. We welcome you to Twins Baseball on Fox Sports North. They say that baseball teams often reflect the personality of their managers. As a player, Paul Molitor, always aggressive on the base paths. It's a trait he has pushed with his team this year as well.
He has pushed this trait with his team as well, and the reason is because those 90-foot base paths are very valuable acreage. Whether you're trying to protect those 90-foot base paths or attain them, and here's Joe Mauer. Gains second base on the overthrow, the missed cutoff throw from Steven Souza Jr. over to third base. He attains that extra 90 feet. Here's Kenny Vargas on second base. He also gets a little added real estate and puts himself in a position to be able to score without the benefit of a base hit. Trevor Plouffe reading the ball in the dirt. You don't have to be the fastest guy on the team to make sure that you run those base paths aggressively, just as their manager, Paul Molitor.
The home cooking continues here this afternoon. Up next, Dick Bramer and Jack Morris look at the upswing of Brian Dozier, who received a great gift for his 28th birthday last night, the type of present he wouldn't think of returning.
Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Dodge. Come discover great deals during the Dodge Drive and Discover event. The Twins opened up their brief homestand with a win last night. This afternoon at Target Field, they'll try to make it 2 in a row over the Rays. Yesterday was Brian Dozier's birthday. He celebrated with a home run and in driving in the eventual game-winning run. And good Saturday afternoon to you from Target Field. Dick Bramer with today's birthday boy, Jack Morris. bringing you Twins baseball game 2 of the series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Twins 6th in the American League in runs scored, even though they really don't have an established presence in the middle of the lineup, but no arguments with the first 2 guys in the lineup.
Well, since Paul Molitor has put Brian Dozier to lead off, followed by Torrey Hunter, the Twins are 13-4. That's pretty darn good, and I think that's the kind of combination that you're looking for in your 1-2 punch. Brian Dozier's been on base. He's got a current 7-game hitting streak. He is really quick inside. We're going to talk about that during the game a little bit, but it's been a good combination for Paul Molitor.
The Twins among the most improved teams in the American League, and it can sustain itself, this improvement, if the Twins starting pitching is a little bit more consistent, and Trevor May is one of the guys that needs to be more consistent.
Dick, when you look at a young pitcher, you realize that one of the things that they're going to struggle with early in their career, if anything, is their command, and that leads to inconsistency. When they're good, they're very good, and then they fight their control, fight their little demons inside to be able to command their pitches. So Trevor May has got to kind of pick up on that, a lot like Kyle Gibson did. You're seeing Kyle really improve in that department this year.
Twins have played very well at home this year. They hope that trend continues here through this weekend series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Trevor May hoping to pick up a win for the Twins against the Rays. We have seen a lot more of that in the dugout this year. The Twins playing well at home, having a good time at home. Torrey Hunter a big part of that as he's injected some life and enthusiasm into the dugout and clubhouse. And by the way, he's played awfully well for the Twins and hit awfully well. Trevor May has had a couple of disappointing starts, including his first start this year, but then he responded from that difficult opening day start for him with 4 competitive starts, and that's what the Twins want to see. Kevin Cash in his first year with the Rays as their manager, replacing Joe Madden, and to the surprise of many, here they are above 500 and very much in contention, and they're having fun in their dugout too. It's amazing what winning does.
No question about it. He shows his youth. I haven't seen a lot of old-time managers giving low 5, high 5s in the dancing machine before the game starts.
Sparky Anderson didn't do that?
Never.
Kevin Kiermaier, Steven Souza Jr., Evan Longoria, James Loney, Logan Forsythe, David DeJesus, Asdrubal Cabrera, Tim Beckham, Rene Rivera on the Menards batting order for the Rays.
And they're going to be facing the right-hander, Trevor May. He's making his 7th start of this 2015 season. Took the defeat last Last time out on May 10th, an 8-2 loss against Cleveland. Didn't have very good numbers. But there are his numbers for this year. He's making his first start against Tampa Bay. Has not faced any of the current Rays on their active roster, so it'll be a learning experience for both sides.
Northland 4 defense for the Twins. It's a bit of a different look from last night. Eddie Rosario is at left. Eduardo Escobar moving into short. Danny Santana, the DH. Hicks and Hunter out there in the outfield. It's Plouffe, Escobar, Dozier, Mauer, the infielders, and Kurt Suzuki again behind the
Iron
plate.
Man, yeah.
Paul Molitor saying that Chris Herman will probably make the start in the series finale tomorrow.
Yeah, folks, that's their manager, Kevin Cash. Not a rookie in his first week of Minnesota here.
In his own way, keeping things loose like his predecessor did, Joe Madden. Kiermaier, Souza, and Longoria in the first inning against Trevor May. Up and away, ball one. That's just wide of the bag. That hugged the baseline, but just pulled foul. Kiermaier may have tweaked his left hand. He's in some issue with his top hand. You can see he's got the thumb ring that a lot of hitters wear to kind of serve as a shock absorber. Pulled on the ground to Dozier. One away.
Trevor May coming right after Kiermaier, getting ahead in the count. You want to see that. A little breaking ball there was just enough to get it off the head of the bat. Pull it towards Brian Dozier.
Souza will bat second. He's one of 13 rookies the Rays have used already. One of 38 players they have used already. We showed you last night the list of current Rays on the disabled list. It's been remarkable. That they've had all the injuries, and yet here they are with a winning record. The record almost identical to the Twins.
Twins one game better in the loss column. Otherwise, they both have 20 wins.
1-0 to Souza. And a called strike. Popped up foul into the seats. Last year May won 3 games, lost 6. He's 2-3 so far this year. His most recent start and again his very first start were disappointments, but he pitched competitively in the other starts. Had to leave the one early after getting hit in the forearm with a line drive. This one might be playable for Mauer. Just out of his reach. Still 1-2.
If you remember earlier in the season, his manager Paul Molitor was saying that there's something a little different about Trevor May this year. He was talking about a little bit of confidence that he was carrying out to the mound, that he looked more like he fit into the big leagues. And now we've got to get him into the 7th inning, get him deeper into a ball game, make him taste that. Good pitch right there.
2 down, and Souza's flexing his top hand, his right hand.
Must be in the air.
He's got a shock absorber on his right thumb. So May has caused a lot of pain here in the first 2 at bats. 2 up, 2 down. Here's Longoria. Down and away, ball 1.
Well, you can't swing a bat unless you have strong hands, and when those hands are hurting, I'm sure it takes a little bit off of the way you approach your at bat.
Pulled to third. Plouffe gets the second hop, and a nice tidy 1-2-3 first inning for Trevor May. he was a backup catcher. Bobby Wilson's on the left. He's a backup catcher. So that's our excuse for misidentifying Bobby Wilson as Kevin Cash.
We were close. Couple backup catchers. One's the manager, and it wasn't the clown that was messing around with the camera.
Here's the Twins batting order brought to you by Menards. Dozier, Hunter, Mauer, Plute, Suzuki, Escobar, Rosario, Hicks. Danny Santana batting ninth as a designated hitter. If you look real closely at Kevin Cash, you can tell he's the manager because he's already starting to turn gray. You can't manage in the big leagues for very long at all without your hair turning.
Or losing your hair.
Losing it altogether.
Twins are going to be facing Alex Colomé. He is making his 4th start of this 2015 season in the big leagues. Got roughed up a little bit with 4 home runs in his last start by the Yankees.
Brian Dozier with a home run and the deciding sacrifice fly that gave the Twins their 3rd run. 26 runs scored, 1 behind the league leader, Mike Trout. He finished 2nd to Trout in that category last year by season's end. Being asked about Dozier in the leadoff spot, he's obviously a potent hitter, and earlier this year hit 3rd in the lineup, 2nd, even cleanup. Paul Molitor said he just has a knack for scoring runs, and that being the case, why wouldn't you want him leading off?
Well, he doesn't have your classic speed of a leadoff guy. You know, the explosive steal second, maybe even go to 3rd. But he's a smart base runner who has the ability to steal bases, and he's got overall spray power. I mean, Brian can hit singles, doubles, home runs.
And he might get an infield hit here. Now that triples foul. He's got 14 walks, 36 hits. And the on-base percentage isn't overwhelmingly good at .329, but you know, every once in a while he'll hit one in the seats for you.
I would think under ideal conditions, if Danny Santana was hitting the ball the way he was a year ago, he would still be the leadoff man. Dozier would probably be number 2, and then Torrey Hunter would have to move down further in the lineup, maybe 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
1-2 to the Twins leadoff batter. And Colomé yanks one into the left-handed batter's box.
Talking to Neil Allen about Colomé yesterday, he was saying that he's got a very good fastball, but he's the kind of guy that can get wild at times. Although he has only walked 1 batter this year for the Rays, so obviously he's made some improvement with that.
Down and away now, 3-2. 1 walk, 16 strikeouts. Hunter on deck. Twins, as I said a few moments ago, 6th in the American League in run scoring. And a nice few weeks of run scoring with Dozier as a leadoff batter. And Hunter hitting 2nd. And he ends up coaxing a leadoff walk.
He's in a wild spell.
Northland 4 defense for the Rays. A very good team defensively. Just made their 13th error last night. To Jesus, Kiermaier, Souza in the outfield. Longoria, Cabrera, Beckham, Forsythe around the infield with Rivera behind the plate. Here is Torrey Hunter. Hunter hit 2nd almost exclusively in his 2 years with Detroit, and we've seen his average spike up since being put into the 2nd spot in the Twins lineup this year. Outside ball 1. We should explain the reason you went to the Twins pitching coach to get a scouting report on the Rays pitcher. Colomé pitched for Neil Allen, who was the AAA pitching coach, made 15 starts for Neil Allen last year.
Neil is very familiar with this entire organization because there's so many young players. He not only talked about all 3 of the starters for the Rays in this series, he talked about some of the scouting reports for the hitters, because a lot of those guys were on the teams that Neil was a part of.
See, Dozier almost did what the Twins did successfully last night on a pitch in the dirt. Immediately take off. Dozier thought better of it. When Colomé's pitching, he maybe walked to second base anyway. 2-0 to Hunter. 3 and beg your pardon. And Hunter looks back at Jerry Meals. He, like I, thought it was outside.
We'll just have to watch Brian Dozier to see if that leadoff walk comes back to haunt Colome. It seems to always haunt the Twins pitchers.
Dozier back. Twins 4 games above 500. Rays are 3 games above 500. And last night, a welcome win for the Twins over the Rays, who are 15-5 here at Target Field.
Saw Phil Hughes, the winning pitcher, did a very nice job last night with a little help from Blaine Boyer and Glenn Perkins to finish off the game.
I don't believe Brian Dozier swung the bat, did he?
No.
And Torrey Hunter hasn't swung the bat. One swing on a foul and cold out of 11 pitches. There's a big swing, and that gets Rivera right in the grill. They'll give Rivera a little time to shake out the cobwebs. Checking the mask itself to make sure it's still intact. They've cracked part of the plastic down low there. 3-2. We'll keep an eye on Dozier here. Decent chance he'll be taking off. Slide step, and Dozier will have to come back. A powering pop up to short right. Souza coming in, and that ball's going to drop. They'll get Dozier at second base. Souza struggled with that from the outset. Beckham was playing near the second base bag and never did get there. And Torrey Hunter will reach on a fielder's choice. Beckham never committed to the pop-up. He never got there. And it was the right fielder Souza who ended up forcing Dozier at second base. Here's Bauer.
So important to communicate, and you could tell that there was a lack of that on that particular play.
Inside, ball one. I think what should be most encouraging to Twins fans, this is a team that is 6th in the American League in runs scored, and yet there's not a player who plays on a daily basis who's having an extraordinary season so far. There's a strike. Joe Mauer is leading this team with a .281 batting average, and that's below his standards. There isn't anybody that, for one reason or another, is leading in any offensive category. The suggestion, I guess, is that there's a level higher individually for this lineup that hopefully it'll get to before the season's out. 1-1.
So you're saying there's room for improvement?
Well, Paul Molitor asked the rhetorical question with the media this morning. Do we have anybody in any of the top 10 in hitting or any offensive category? They're the Twins leaders, and the only position player who's among the league leaders is Dozier, second in the American League in runs scored. Could be 2. And is. So the Twins get a leadoff walk, but Colome struggling with his control, faces just 3 men in the inning.
Out on the East Coast as American Pharoah, who won the Kentucky Derby, looks to win the second jewel, the Triple Crown. That got us thinking. It's Triple Crown in horse racing and Triple Crown in baseball. Two prestigious awards in horse racing. You got to bank together a Derby win, a Preakness win, and a Belmont win inside of 5 weeks. In baseball, batting average, home runs, and RBIs. Cabrera did it in 2012. That broke a streak of 45 years. Horses haven't done it since 78 when a firm did it. Talked to a couple Twins players. Jordan Schaefer said, clearly, he said, baseball is tougher. You got hundreds of batters you're trying to outduel for that award. In horse racing, you got maybe 18, 19 horses to beat in one race, 6 or 8 in the other couple. Joe Mauer had a different opinion. He said, who's done it more? And I said, well, 11 times in horse racing, 16 in baseball. He said, I got to go with horse racing. And Joe Mauer knows a little something about horse racing. His grandpa, Jake, longtime tip sheet proprietor out of Canterbury Park in Shakopee, guys.
Torrey Hunter with a running catch in right center. Thank you, Kevin. On the first pitch of the second inning, James Loney hit it right on the button, but within the range of Torrey Hunter. So one quick out after a first inning where May got 3 quick outs.
It appears that the Tampa Bay Rays are going up there swinging the bats, and that's probably good for Trevor May as long as he recognizes it. So far, so good. 4 of the 4 hitters are outs.
So many young players, and not many of them, frankly, a part of what has been an incredible run of success for the Rays here at Target Field. We mentioned 15-5 here at this ballpark, during which time they've outscored the Twins nearly 2-1, 119-62. 1-1 to Logan Forsythe. Popped up center field. Should be an easy play for Hicks. What we have in the outfield now is what the Twins hoped for, with Torrey Hunter in right field, Aaron Hicks in center, and the mentor, the understudy, if you will. This is one of the reasons the Twins sought Hunter in the offseason. They were hoping that Torrey Hunter might somehow be able to unlock the enigma that has been Aaron Hicks. 2 down.
I'm not sure there has been any issues with Aaron Hicks defensively. It's with the bat in his hand.
But in terms of approach, dedication,
right,
putting a little,
every day being a Major League Baseball player,
putting a little equity into your career.
And Torrey has been a great example of that.
Coming to the outside corner, 1-1.
Coming to the ballpark, not only willing to work, being prepared, doing whatever it takes at his age to stay in the kind of shape that he's in.
1-1 to DeJesus, who homered last night. Roy Smalley, while we were on the road, noted that he walked by Torrey's locker, and here he was on his tablet looking at some recent footage from that the pitcher the Twins were going to face in a few hours. I believe it was in Cleveland he saw that. And then you contrast that to last year, Hicks admittedly not even knowing who the Twins were facing that particular night. And you've got a guy who's going to turn 40 this year, and right now would probably be the Twins all-star. Swing and a miss, 3-2. And a great example on how to approach your craft and how you dedicate yourself to it. As Drupal Cabrera on deck, May hoping to finish off DeJesus and have a couple of 1, 2, 3 innings. Foul tip, and Suzuki hangs on. 6 up, 6 down for Trevor May. A real good start for the right-hander.
Tailing fastball.
for the Twins, and last night a career milestone, the 100th save of his career last night. Gave up a couple of 2-out hits, but got the save. He's 12 for 12 in save opportunities, and he's just 4 saves away from tying Jeff Reardon for 5th place on the Twins all-time list. And he hopes to pitch today. See if the Twins can get a lead in the late innings. Plouffe, Suzuki, and Escobar will hit for the Twins here in the second.
325 innings as a relief pitcher and 100 saves. So if Bert pitched 3,500, 4,000 innings, 1 out of 3 wins, he should have about 1,200 wins. Well, it doesn't work that way for starters, does it?
What'd you say in addition to your 254 wins? Is that what you ended up with?
Yeah.
254 wins. You thought you should have 100 and some saves because you pitch complete games?
And holds.
And holds.
Holds, too, yeah. Let's not forget those. There was absolutely no need for a relief pitcher to show up those days.
Colomé somehow was able to get through the first inning, even though he didn't throw many strikes, and now he started the second inning by throwing 3 out of the zone to Plouffe. Twins got a leadoff walk in the first inning, but then Mauer hit into an inning-ending double play. And Trevor Green lighted, fouls it back.
Trevor May, on the other hand, 20 pitches through the first 2 innings, 10 pitches an inning, so he's off to a very good start in the pitch count department.
3-1. Suzuki on deck. On the outside corner. Full count. 22 pitches, only 10 strikes for Colomé. One of 8 different starting pitchers the Rays have used already this year. That's hit high, fairly deep to center field. Kiermaier back, and now coming in, 1 away. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. You can watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. If you subscribe, and if you happen to glance at the game in St. Louis, you might have seen Miguel Cabrera hit his 400th home run in the first inning, and you might have seen David Price throw 2 pitches before the rains came and they put the tarp on the field. 1 strike to Suzuki. And now a ball.
Alex Colomé, he started the year in A-ball, where he was 0-1 with a 3 ERA, and then he was advanced up to Durham, which was AAA ball. He was 1-0 there with a 1.93 ERA, and now he's pitching here at the major league level this year.
And Suzuki beats the shift. Second baseman Beckham was playing on the pull side of second base, and the Twins have their first hit. One of the reasons he started in Class A ball, he had a terrible spring. We'll get another look here at Suzuki's drive toward the second base umpire. Escobar will hit with a runner at first. But Colomé had visa problems. You've had visa problems. I've had. His were different. He couldn't get out of the Dominican Republic, or didn't. And then he got to spring training and had pneumonia and was hospitalized for 5 days.
That's just a bad start.
And Suzuki complimented that the Rays are concerned about holding him at first base.
Catchers. Well, Eduardo Escobar, he gets a chance to play shortstop today, moving back into the infield.
Just a one-day break. Santana in the lineup as the designated hitter, but Escobar had the best of times and the worst of times last night. He had a pop fly fall in front of him. He said he lost sight of the ball. One of the reasons he didn't catch it, looked like that might be the deciding play of the game. But then he came up with a strong throw, getting an assist, throwing accurately to second base in the very next inning. Up the middle. Into center field. Suzuki will hold up at second base. So the Twins taking Colomé up the middle for back-to-back hits.
One of the reasons Paul Molitor has a tough time not penciling in Eduardo Escobar. He's swung a pretty hot bat. It started in spring training and hasn't really stopped. And like you said, Dick, he's not a guy that has got all-star numbers. It's not crazy, but up and down the Twins lineup, it seems like on a daily basis, everybody seems to be grabbing an oar and helping paddle the boat.
Rosario doubled in his only at bat last night. Strike one. Twins activated Shane Robinson before the game today and put Jordan Schaefer on the disabled list. So Rosario has a little more
time.
Well, that
opportunity.
Yeah, and a little more competition too. Schaefer hadn't played much at all since injuring his knee. Sanford Health injury report, the knee just wasn't getting any better. And Schaefer, who hasn't played much lately, will have his 15-day disabling period backdated. Shane Robinson reinstated from the family emergency list, missed 4 games. Teams use that list now for a minimum of 3 games, maximum of 7. 2 strikes to Rosario, and he drives it to left center field. Suzuki will round third. He's heading home. The throw all the way through to the plate, and everybody will move up. Kiermaier with a terrible throwing decision. Earlier in the game last night, we saw Souza make the same mistake, and the Twins alertly advance into scoring position after scoring the run.
I'm very surprised in this day and age where there's so much statistical information out there that managers don't pay attention to the simple things. The odds of an outfielder throwing in a perfect strike to home plate to get a runner on a base hit that's not right at them is remarkable. And yet you're seeing guys airmailing time and time again. Ball's over where the hitter gets to go to second base and now is in scoring position.
Twins didn't take advantage of the blunder early in the game last night. They have a chance here. The mistake by Kiermaier will draw the infield in for Aaron Hicks. I asked Tom Bernansky to explain to me, a layman, about Hicks's new approach and the leg kick and the bat pump, which we see him use. Bringing it back and then one quick pump, and then he gets it into the hitting position. And the way Tom explained it to me, and I'll do my best to explain it to you, Hicks was having a hard time figuring out where the barrel of his bat was, and just that little movement so far has allowed Hicks to be able to feel the barrel of the bat. That's the only part of the bat you want to make contact with the ball, and so that was the hitting coach's explanation to me, and I apologize if that sounds confusing, but in a way it made sense to me.
Well, you not only have to feel it, but you have to be able to see the ball and put that part of the bat on the ball.
Right. There's a strike. 2-2. The bottom line is, the end result is, he's been able to hit the ball with authority, put the barrel, now that he knows where it's at, on the ball.
I think hitting coaches, a lot like pitching coaches, have to be creative to help find a positive result.
Grounded to Forsythe, it goes to the bag with at least one eye on the runner at third, Escobar. Well, now it'll be up to Danny Santana to take advantage of the throwing mistake. 2 down, 2 on in scoring position, and a run in here in the second.
This is where the Twins need to try to pick it up a little bit. They've got an opportunity to really make a game-changing difference here with those 2 runners right there ready to score 2 more runs, put it up 3-0 instead of 1-0. They had 2 opportunities. Hicks just lost one of those.
Strike on the outside corner. Santana with the big triple that tied the game. And then Dozier drove him in with a line drive to center. Up and away. Colombi's strike percentage has gotten better here in the second inning, but he's also given up 3 straight hits.
And he also is not really commanding the pitches. When you watch the catcher, Rene Rivera, it's not like he's pinpointing his pitches right to that catcher's glove.
To short center. Cabrera out, can't make the play, and 2 runs will score. There's shards of wood all over the infield, but Santana will take it, a 2-run single.
Those are difference makers right there. And that bad guy to Hero somehow found a hole right over as dribbled Cabrera's glove. And a 3-run advantage now for Trevor May instead of that single run.
So a 2-run single, 4th single of the inning, and a 3 spot for the Twins in the second inning. Now Dozier to the plate. All the hits have been to the center of the field. Close, got it. Santana picked off. Colomé with a quick move to first, picking off Santana, but not until Santana drives in 2 with a base hit.
That's just a case where Danny Santana seemed to be drifting a little bit right there. And a quick snap throw over to first base. It's kind of, you get caught in no man's land. You realize you're off the bag a little too much, and there's no way you're going to get back.
Cabrera, Beckham, and Rivera, bottom third of the Rays batting order. Cabrera playing in his 999th major league game. Strike 1 from May. Just 21 pitches so far for Trevor May. A couple of 10-pitch innings. And that's how you have low pitch counts.
Yep.
You throw strike 1 and followed up with strike 2.
Column A after 2 innings, almost double the amount of pitches. He did give up the 3 runs in the Twins' bottom half of the 2nd inning.
Hit high and deep to right center field. Hunter back, hits the top of the wall, padding, and now rolls out towards center field, where Hicks retrieves it. That ball hit the padding on top of the wall and kicked high in the air and to the side along the warning track. It'll be a leadoff triple for Cabrera.
Ball just jumped off of Cabrera's bat. He took a nice easy swing, and it's amazing the hand strength some guys have. The ball just jumped. Gets a little bit of a break right here. As you can see, that ball hitting the, is that part of the scoreboard, Dick?
Yeah, it hit I think the top of the padded area there. Strike on the outside corner. The last homestand, James McCann, the Tiger backup catcher at the time, got an inside the park home run on a ball hit to center, and it hit the warning track. Got a loose ball thrown from the seating area. I don't know whether a young fan did that. One strike. But anyway, McCann hit a ball that hit the wall, then hit Jordan Schaefer's leg and rolled along that warning track about 35-40 feet. And his first big league home run was an inside the park home run. 2 strikes.
Pretty rare for a catcher to have an inside the park home run. Brian Holiday then followed up with a home run in the last series, and both backup catchers for the Tigers' only home runs were off Twins pitching.
Fouled away. When I saw McCann's home run, I thought of our friend Harmon Killebrew detailing the first home run, inside the park home run ever hit at Metropolitan Stadium, and Harmon hit it, and it was very similar to the one that McCann hit. The ball hit the center field fence, then hit the center fielder and rolled on the warning track. Harmon, like a backup catcher, not a candidate to hit too many inside the park home runs.
Not too many guys are, really. You've got to be able to fly a little bit and catch a break.
Big strikeout. Beckham is a strikeout victim, and the 3rd strikeout for May already in the game.
You can see the location, the first couple pitches, and that one there, a pitcher's pitch, down and away. Beckham just couldn't lay off of it. It was just a simple sinker, fastball, maybe a break or a changeup that sunk a little.
Here's the Rays catcher Rene Rivera. He's playing the infield back with a 3-run lead, and May starts him outside ball 1. Outside 2. Just 4 years ago, Rivera was a backup catcher for the Twins. And that's going to hurt for him. In 2011, Bauer had some injury issues, didn't even have 300 at bats. And he's got a pad up protecting the knee area, and that's why is it those things are magnetized. Wherever a player has some protection, the ball finds it, doesn't it? That's a curious spot to have a pad.
Yeah, you can see the pad is kind of on the shin area, the knee and the shin area, and yet it hit on the inside of that pad. I just think it shows sign of weakness personally. I mean, you wear those things and you give a pitcher ammunition.
2-2.
It's like he's telling you, look, I foul a lot of balls off, down and in, so where do you want to throw it? Right there.
You're a sadistic bunch, you pitchers. 2-2. Popped up. Mauer should have a play. 2 down, and Cabrera still at third base.
Trevor May got away with the one right there. A fastball right down Broadway.
Tonight on Fox Sports Live, get caught up on a full night of NHL and NBA playoff action, plus highlights on tonight's MLB games. You can see Fox Sports Live tonight on Fox Sports 1, or see it simulcast right here on Fox Sports North. Kiermaier had a hand issue during his first at bat, ended up pulling a 3-hopper to Brian Dozier to start the ball game. And a pop up wide of third. The Rays get a lead-off triple and leave Cabrera at third. A great job by Trevor May. It's still 3-0. Your link to what's next by NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. Trevor May pitching out of a leadoff triple situation in the top of the third. He and the Twins have a 3-0 lead. Here is something I've never said on the air before. Today is my broadcast partner's birthday. Usually,
you don't have to say
I don't have to say it because my broadcast partner will proclaim it from the mountaintops. Happy birthday, Jack.
Just good to be alive. That's all I can say.
Strike one.
Spending your birthday at a ballpark, not a bad thing.
Not
either,
a
right?
bad thing. Dozier was at the plate when Santana was picked off after he drove in 2 runs with a single. Swing and a foul, and Rivera's got another body part to be concerned about. He's taken a foul ball in the mask. He's fouled the ball off his knee. And he just got hit where no catcher wants to get hit. He is not having a happy Jack Morris birthday. 2 strikes to Dozier. That got him on a forearm. Dozier will go to first, which, as long as it's not a serious plunking, behind in the count 0-2, you end up at first base. Looks like it just brushed him. That'll bring up Torrey Hunter. Torrey hit a pop fly to short right field. Beckham delayed in pursuit of the fly ball. Never did get there. Souza had a very long run. He didn't get there. The end result was Dozier being forced at second base. Down and away, ball one.
We have a gray sky here at Target Field today. And I imagine that's one of the more challenging type looks up there. Ball kind of blends in.
Joe Madden may have been the first manager to employ infield shifts as extensively as now every manager does. Kevin Cash has picked up right where Madden left off, but for just about every right-handed batter, the Twins have the second baseman, in today's case Beckham, on one side or the other of second base, no more than 3 or 4 steps from second base. There's a huge hole in the right side of the infield. And Hunter punches it through the hole. That's right about where you'd expect a second baseman to normally stand.
In yesterday's game, you saw Jake Odorizzi pitch inside in those situations. He was basically saying, go ahead and pull the ball. That's where you want to pitch when you have the shift on. But you can see right there a breaking ball that Torrey Hunter does a nice job of staying with and shoots it out to the right side. Nobody over on that side. Now, Twins have a little action again.
Hunter with a 10-game hitting streak, most of that built obviously during his time with Detroit. Here's Mauer, bounced into a double play his first time up. And to be consistent, the Rays have a mirror image of that shift for Mauer hitting from the left side of the plate.
Which is really odd because a year ago everybody was shifting Joe to left side.
It's a strike on the outside corner. It's one thing to shift, but as you suggested, the pitcher has the responsibility to pitch into the shift. And the first pitch was outside, where we have learned over the years Joe prefers the pitch anyway. And another one outside off the plate. Torrey says, yeah, thanks for playing over there.
Is that what that was?
Twins with 3 on the board and a good chance to add here in the 3rd inning. Hey, you played with Kirby Puckett. I broadcast his career, but I get the sense that players around the league have the same feeling about Torrey. Ball hit right to the shortstop, and Mauer for the second time. Not only double play for the same double play.
Yeah, exactly.
A weak ground ball to the shortstop Cabrera with Dozier going to 3rd base.
There's no question that Torrey Hunter and Kirby Puckett have a lot in common when it comes to the game of baseball. There's passion there.
But in terms of respect and affection from the opponent,
yeah.
Very
I think
few
it's
players.
respect more than anything else, because you realize that they really have the passion. You know, you love to see it. You cannot take anything away from a guy who smiles the way both those guys do and enjoys the game. Miguel Cabrera, another one in today's game that really has fun playing the game.
1 strike to Plouffe. Twins would like to get something out of this 3rd inning. Dozier hit by a pitch. Hunter with a single. And block caught by Rivera. 1-1. You see the infield pull shift for Plouffe. Fastball gets a swing and a miss.
Again, talking to Neil Allen about column A, he said that he kind of throws the split finger forkball as his changeup. He just spreads his fingers a little wider, doesn't throw it off the tips of his fingers. It's going to have the fastball rotation, and that's why the ball doesn't dip too much, but that is his changeup.
That's hit to right center and hit well. Kiermaier chasing it on the track. He's there to end the inning. A threat, but no payoff for the Twins. It's still 3-0. The Preakness being run later today, with American Pharoah hoping to win the second leg of the Triple Crown. And our Carsoup.com trivia question: who hit the most home runs in a Triple Crown season?
Well, we know that Miguel Cabrera was the last guy to do it. Carl Yastrzemski did it. Frank Robinson did it.
Now, see, I don't want to hear about Yastrzemski because he tied Harmon, and I've always made a point saying that Yastrzemski did not win the Triple Crown. He shared the home run title with, I think, 44 in 1967. It won me a lot of cups of coffee over the years when I would ask people the question, who was the last guy to lead his team in batting average, RBIs, and home runs, and everybody would say Yastrzemski, and I'd say no. Yastrzemski didn't lead the league.
But nobody else had any more.
That's true, but that's a different question.
I just think it's kind of like, you know, playing basketball against Aiken. You might have to move on.
Some scars just never heal. 3-1 to the leadoff man in the fourth, Steven Souza Jr.
Did you talk to Harmon about that?
Yes, and Harmon, you knew Harmon
as graceful as he was. I'm sure he was.
He was happy for Mr. Yastrzemski to win the Triple Crown.
Inside, he was burning.
I think that was the year he said he hit 2 home runs in Detroit that didn't count because the game was washed out before the 5th inning. 3-2 to the leadoff man in the fourth. Souza, Longoria, and Loney will hit this inning on the ground. A 1-hopper to Escobar. Over to Mauer, and Souza had kind of an awkward step to the bag. I don't know if Mauer impeded his stride or what happened there. 1 away.
Oh, watch this as he's running down the bag. He might have just rolled an ankle or something.
Yeah. Reaching for the bag, looked like he scraped his top of his foot over the top of it there. Yeah.
Well, I want you to know, Dick, that I have a couple issues myself that I'm trying to deal with.
All right.
One was a home run in Milwaukee, Old County Stadium, that Cecil Cooper hit, and I know it was a foot foul. I'm going to go to my grave swearing that it was a foot foul. They called it a home run, and that was before replay.
Right.
So,
did you win the game?
I don't even remember, but it's another home run that should not be in the book, in my opinion.
All right.
Get over it, right, Jack?
Foul back. Well, no, that's what That's why this is so nice. You have a chance to get it out there, get it out of your system. Instead of carrying this stuff around you, I feel.
I wasn't even thinking about it until we talked about Aiken, and now
I slept so soundly last night because I finally exercised the Aiken Gobbler demon publicly last night.
Meanwhile, Trevor May doing a good job on the mound for the Twins.
2-2 to Evan Longoria.
Really hasn't gotten much trouble. Just that leadoff triple in the top of the third.
That's poked down the line, and that's fair by as much as the other one was foul. Longoria to second. Rosario's throw to the
whoa.
Safe twice, says second base umpire Jordan Baker, but Rosario with a strong throw to Dozier nearly got Longoria.
Longoria kind of realized that ricochet, and he rounded first base and found himself another gear, and he did a great slide by coming inside. He saw where the throw was going to be towards the right field side of second base, so he slides in towards the third base side of second base. We'll see it right here. Good strong throw by Rosario.
For a split second, Longoria lost contact with the base, and Dozier reached back to try to. They're going to appeal this. They're going to challenge this. They're going to.
Well, it's all about what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Is that when he popped up, that foot came off the base. Did Brian Dozier have his glove on Evan Longoria? See if we can take another look at it right here. He slides in clearly safe right there. But as he pops up, let's see, we can't see if he kept his glove on him. There was a fraction of a second there that neither foot was on the bag. Unfortunately, we're
what are the
out.
odds of that? Because just a few moments ago, Ken Herbeck was here to talk with you, and
maybe we'll see it from this side.
Dozier just tagged him. He didn't pull.
I don't think they can reverse this.
At first base, of course, in the '91 World Series,
where Ron Gant clearly overran the bag. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
For all you Braves fans out there, I'm sorry he overran the bag, but he did.
And Mr. Herbeck was just here.
Just did his job, just holding the glove on him.
There was a lot of inertia coming off the first base bag. How much of it was Gant's and how much of it was Ken Herbeck's? At any rate, the Twins are 6 for 8 in challenges. The Rays are 1-12.
I don't think they can change this. That's just my guess. We've both been wrong. I've been wrong with you.
As often as I've been right, I haven't done a good job of guessing. Another look at it here. Safe. Contact. I think he's out. From that angle, I'm thinking they're going to overturn the call.
Well, one of us will get it right then.
For fans who don't know, we say about the play being reviewed in New York, being reviewed by umpires. Umpire crews are assigned to the replay center, a total of 8 umpires circulating through New York. It might be that this umpire crew will go from here to New York for review assignment in New York.
Right at the MLB.com studios. Quite a facility, really. Millions of TVs all over from different angles from all the ballparks. And the only difference is the umpires get paid while they eat lunch.
No dress code, right? I mean, they can show up, wear whatever they want.
Yeah, they're usually well dressed.
The verdict, safe. Longoria will report for duty at second base. 1 out, and Loney will bat. The Twins have lost their challenge. Can still ask the umpires to review a close play after the 7th inning. Call stands. The Rays did not score after a leadoff triple in the 3rd. Now they'll try to get something done with a 1-out double in the 4th. Loney blistered a line drive to right center, but it was picked off by Torrey Hunter for the first out of the 2nd inning. A strike. The sense I get, Jack, and I'm really curious of your reaction to this, again as a layman, I'm looking at Trevor May, and I've seen him pitch much better this year than last year. And the sense I get is that he has ball strike 0-2. He seems to have a feel for pitching. That's not something you can quantify. It's not something you can measure. It's not going to be in any statistical analysis, but it's important, I think, for a pitcher to have that. And we see glimpses, at least I do, of Trevor May having a feel for it out there.
I describe
a base hit on an 0-2 pitch. Longoria will be held at third.
Good job by Torrey Hunter right there, getting to the ball. That forced third base coach Charlie Montoya into holding Evan Longoria at third base just because Torrey Hunter reacted to the ball and got to it quickly. It's not always about the throw. Anyway, back to your point, Dick. I described a feel for pitching as a guy, a pitcher who has a sense of reading what a hitter is trying to do. Hitters will show you how they open up their hips, where their hands are. Do they dive? Do they keep their shoulder in? They let you know what they're thinking by the way that they approach every at bat. And you have to read that. In between focusing on the catcher's glove and deciding on what pitch to throw and what location, you have to be able to read what that hitter is trying to do.
Outside ball one. Do you see glimpses of that in Trevor May?
Well, certainly I do. And I know that he has big league type of repertoire on the mound. I would like to see him develop a little bit better changeup. I would like to see him have a little better pace in the game, but those are things that all take time. I mean, I wasn't perfect in any of those when I was young either.
There's a fastball on the outside corner, 1-1.
You know, he's a strong kid. He seems to be durable, although he hasn't pitched deep into any games yet. You sense that he will. Maybe today will be the day. He's got a good pitch count going right now.
10 outs. This will be his 50th pitch, and if it's a really good one, he can get out of this fourth inning. Looking for a ground ball double play. Right, fastball gets a swing and a miss. Forsythe with a fly to center his first time up. Longoria doubled. It's challenged. He kept his double, then Loney singled to right. An 0-2 pitch. 1-2 to Forsythe. Tried to burn the outside corner with a fastball and got a foul ball.
One of the things, again, describing a feel for pitching is understanding certain situations, knowing that in a situation like we have right now, ignore Longoria at third base. Think about getting a ground ball. How do I throw? Where do I throw to get that ground ball right now? Typically it's down and away. You want the guy to roll it over, top the ball a little bit, and then depend on your middle infielders to get the job done.
Trying to get a breaking ball down and away, left it up a little bit, and Forsythe got a piece of it.
I also think it's important in situations like this to move the guy a little bit. Don't be afraid to show him a pitch off the plate inside, make him a little uncomfortable, and then that cookie that you're throwing down and away gets to be more tempting for them to make an offer at.
Nice job by Suzuki. That ball got on him, and he was still able to block it out of the dirt. He almost backhanded the pitch in the dirt.
No, he needs to do this, and he did it well. That keeps Loney at first base, keeps the double play in order.
2-2.
It's not exactly the way you want to teach your catchers. You get those hands out in front and bend that chest over to block it, keep it in front of you. Well, the result was what you wanted.
Might have been the change up there, and it was left up. Hook foul. Still 2-2 to Forsythe. Sets up, down, and away. Another one left, up. Foul back. 8 pitches in this at bat.
One of the pitches that might work in this situation is his slider. Throw the ball down and away, have the ball breaking down. The hitter tends to top the ball a little bit more. Something that he can maybe change speeds a little bit.
And another foul ball.
There, right on that last pitch, Suzuki wanted the ball in. That was the fastball that he wants to tail into the hitter. And he left it out over the plate. The result was good, except that that's not where he called for it.
Again on 2-2. Slower breaking ball off the plate, 3-2. Free up Loney to very likely take off here.
He threw that breaking ball almost like he wanted the hitter to chase. That's all great, except you only get one out. You throw that ball, same type of break, only have it hit the outside corner, and there's a chance you're going to get him to roll it over and get that double play.
Loney goes, and the pitch walloped to left. Rosario in the corner makes a nice running catch. Loney has to retouch second base. Here's the throw across, not in time. Longoria scores, but Rosario, showing a lot of range in left field, is able to catch up with that hooking line drive.
Not easy when you're closing against a wall either, but Eddie Rosario showing no fear, running all the way through this ball. Good concentration.
Here is DeJesus. Rays didn't score with a leadoff triple in the third. They do work Longoria around from second after his one-out double. And that missed up and in.
Well, I know I'm splitting hairs talking about this, but there, a fly ball was able to score the runner. In a ground ball, you've got a chance maybe of holding the runner. You might not get the double play, but you might still be pitching with a 3-run lead instead of a 2-run lead. Now, granted, Kevin Cash wants his hitters to be able to lift the ball a lot like Brian Dozier did in yesterday's game to score that go-ahead run.
Nice trip to the mound here by Suzuki. I think May has just had a really long battle with Forsythe. He got Forsythe out, but a run scores, and now falling behind 2-0. A quick trip to the mound by the Twins catcher.
We talked about it in the pregame about damage control in game for Trevor May and not letting an inning get out of hand. This is where great timing, like you said, with Kurt Suzuki, going out there and communicating with him, saying, look, let's focus. We need one out. Let's get it right now. You don't want to throw a lot more pitches in this half inning.
Foul back, 2-1.
David DeJesus does not strike out very much. He's a guy that's able to hit the ball to all parts of the ballpark. See the pitch count in the 4th inning. This inning right here, Trevor May struggled a little.
2-1 to DeJesus. Base hit to right. And Loney goes to second base and bring up Cabrera. 3 hits in the inning now against Trevor May. So far, just 1 run. Cabrera tripled off the padding of the wall in right center field. And now another trip to the mound by Suzuki, and Neil Allen will join him as well. Mauer in, Escobar in.
It's kind of interesting. Neil Allen went to his catcher first, Kurt Suzuki, almost like he was asking him, well, what did you guys just talk about? And I'm sure part of that is to be able to pitch inside a little bit more, keep the guys honest. Neil's old school. He pitched in that generation where you were taught that in order to get the outer part of the plate, you have to own the inner part of the plate.
Rays making some noise here in the 4th inning. Cabrera with 2 on and 2 out.
Good off-speed breaking there. You can see the Cabrera was way out in front of that pitch. Didn't have a ton of break to it, but the change of speeds is something that I think is good for Trevor May. To be able to add and subtract with velocity.
1 strike. Zipping a fastball over the inside corner, and Cabrera doesn't care for it.
You can see the speed range right there for Trevor May, and his slowest changeups about 75 miles an hour. His best fastball about 95, so a 20-mile-an-hour difference. Sometimes 20 is almost too much. You want it probably in the 10 to 15-mile-an-hour range, and the difference. A hitter can pick up that big difference. And if it's a good hitter, they'll move their lower body. Their legs might go, but their hips never do. They're still able to generate enough with their bat.
1-2 to Cabrera. Behind third. Foul ball. Cabrera got jammed, but a little pop-up near the 3rd baseline.
You always called those emergency swings right there.
2 of them for that fan. Third pitch coming up this inning. 24 strikes for May. To right field. Hit right at Torrey Hunt. 3 hits, a run for the Rays. The Twins still lead by 2. Winning today again 3-2.
Another series, that'd be great at home.
Today's Coors Banquet timeless moment. On this date, 1967, Jack Morris, reliever Phil Regan, the Vulture, lost his first game in 77 appearances His first defeat in over a year when Astros third baseman Bob Aspromonte hit a 2-run triple in the 10th to beat the Dodgers 5-3.
You know, that's why stats are so important. We needed information. Like I completely forgot about that. How about
Did you? First thing I thought of when I woke up this morning. This date is significant for some reason.
Yeah, Phil Regan. Phil Regan was a pitching coach at mine at one point.
Is that right? Where at?
I think it was the Cleveland Indians.
Down and away. Nicknamed the Vulture because he hovered over the carcass of a baseball game until it was time to come in and win the game, and he did it. That's what
it was a derogatory term for a relief pitcher.
Who picked up a lot of wins, pitching a fraction of what you starters had to pitch to pick up a win.
You know, we can get a loss in one pitch, but we have to go 5 complete to have a chance to win.
Where's the fairness in that?
No fairness.
2-0 to Suzuki. He started the 3-run second with a sharp single to center. Now, when Suzuki delivered his 1-out single in the second inning, he hit a sharp liner right where Tim Beckham is standing right now. In Suzuki's second inning at bat, Beckham was on the other side of second base. And a grounder to the only guy basically on the right side of the infield, Logan Forsythe, 1 out.
Let's look at Alex Colomé's delivery here. We talk about the short, compact delivery. David Price almost throws from the stretch position, and Colomé does a little dance. Basically, he's a starter that is in the stretch position, but he just moves his feet slightly as part of his windup. Just real short and compact.
Strike to Escobar. Now, I remember you as keeping your pitching hand and your glove hand down to your waist level or chest level. Were you ever a hands over the head guy?
Sure, that's the way it all started. And I remember no pitching coach tried to talk me out of it. It was watching Brett Saberhagen pitch.
Really?
In his prime, I was watching from the other side of the dugout, and I said to myself, my gosh, you throw 120 pitches, that means 120 times you're going up over your head like you're pressing a weight. And I said, what a waste of energy. You know, you got to come back to that set position. And as you watch Colomé and what he's doing right there, pitching coaches just want you to be able to repeat a delivery, something simple. And I think those small little things, oh boy.
Wicked smash off the glove or forearm. Escobar trying for second, and the throw not in time. Eduardo Escobar hustles his way to a double.
He was caught in between to make a decision right there. Right fielder Steven Souza Jr. was going to go after that ball, and Eduardo put himself in position by busting down the first baseline. Then he has to decide, can I get there? Can I get there? Look at the gear that he found. You can almost see when he made that decision.
And the Rays are pondering a challenge here. Colomé not coming to the top of the mound. And instead of a challenge, it's going to be a trip to the mound from the manager.
Yeah, I don't think he saw enough evidence. That was pretty much bang, bang right there. I don't know as though he could ever overturn that, but he's going to make a pitching move right here.
A double for Escobar and a quick hook for Colomé, with Malate, the right-handed reliever, coming in next. the batters he faced. He's taken out here in the 4th inning. This is your last chance to become a weekend warrior for this year. You can get all Friday, all Saturday, or all Sunday home games. You can become a weekend warrior and a Twins season ticket holder today. Get your ticket to summer. Last day to purchase is May 27th. Call 833-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com/weekendwarrior. Andrew Bellotti will come into the ballgame. He was warming up while the Rays were hitting in the top of this inning. And with the first base runner of the bottom of the inning, the Rays make a pitching change. Rosario drove in a run with a single his first time up. He's got a chance to do it again here in the 4th.
Kevin Cash just not going to show a lot of patience with his young pitcher today. Kind of realizing that he cannot afford to let this game get out of hand.
Side ball 1. Rosario in the lineup in left field, and he's made 2 fine plays out there. He nearly threw out Longoria in the 4th inning. In fact, the Twins used their challenge, and Rosario made a good throw to Brian Dozier. And a nice running catch on the Forsythe drive that kept the Rays from scoring more than the 1 run they did. His outfield defense has been an issue. Rosario an upgrade in left. Hicks is an upgrade in center, so we might be seeing a bit of a transition in the Twins outfield here, Jack. 2-0 and a foul back.
Well, Rosario sure made a nice play. You can see that Hicks covers center field as good as any recent Twin center fielder. Torrey Hunter, strictly a right fielder now, but kind of the mentor for those 2 young men.
2-1 to Rosario. Foul back. Ryan said before the game today that the key for Rosario, no different than any other young hitter, just swinging strikes. Do a better job of that, he's got a pretty bright future here. But teams have gotten him out, gotten him to strikeout on pitches down and in, breaking pitches. Fastball sailing away, and it's a full count.
Brings up an interesting point. As you go through the minor leagues, pitchers have less command of their pitches, and if you're going to put up good numbers, you're going to have your share of swinging hits out of the zone. And yet up the big leagues, when they expand the zone, you're usually going to make an out. So it's kind of a crazy catch-22.
And Rosario draws a walk. And now runners at first and second for Aaron Hicks. Rosario has drawn his first walk of the year now. Hicks came up with 2 men on. In fact, runners at second and third, and 1 out. Infield was drawn in, and Hicks hit a bounder to Forsythe at first base and could not drive in a run. Another opportunity here in the 4th. Fox Tracks presented by Dodge. Drive to center. Kiermaier coming in, makes a running catch, fires to second base. And Hicks hit a ball right on the button with enough hang time for Kiermaier, out number 2. We'll give Santana another opportunity to drive in some runs.
Kiermaier had a very good jump on this. Watch how he reacts right when that ball was hit off the bat. He's drifting to his left. Gets to the ball quickly, otherwise that might have been a base hit RBI for Aaron Hicks.
Santana has a different bat than the one he used when he drove in 2 runs with a single. He splintered the bat, but flared one into center field for a 2-run single. Next strike 1. Twins have had ample opportunities here to score more than the 3 runs they have. Flowers hit into a couple of double plays. 0-2. Santana's got a lot more experience up here than Rosario does, but that's been the way to get Santana out in 2, breaking pitches down and in.
Especially on the left side, he's just really had a tough time swinging over top of those balls, breaking down and towards his knee.
Foul over the Rays dugout. Oh, 2 to the number 9 batter. Up again over the Tampa Bay dugout. At bats for Santana, 35 strikeouts. 35 strikeouts lead the team.
What he does with 2 strikes is really what Paul Molitor is watching. Can he put the ball in play? Can he shorten up? You know, he's got such great speed that he doesn't need to hit a home run here.
Speed pitch, it stayed back, got a piece.
Tampa's infield pretty much playing Danny Santana straight away. They're playing deep at short and second. Longoria's pretty deep at third base, off the line a little bit.
Speed pitch got him. Santana strikes out. The Twins leave 2 more aboard and the board. Eating some of the ice cream. Pepsi fans of the game loving the ice cream cone. Some other snacks at the ballpark, popcorn, peanuts. Somewhere in this ballpark somebody's eating Cracker Jack, I would imagine. Tim Beckham fouls the first pitch off the mask of Suzuki, 1 strike. Time for Trevor May to have an easier inning. He had to pitch around the leadoff triple and did so successfully in the 3rd. Faced 6 men, threw a lot of pitches, 34 pitches in the 4th inning. Gave up a run. He'd like to have a nice 10-pitch inning like his 1st or 2nd inning. 1 strike to Beckham. 1-1.
Those are the kind of pitches I'm sure that frustrate his pitching coach a little bit. Is you got Tim Beckham up. He's the number 8 hitter. not a household name across America. Whether that means anything or not is irrelevant. You just have to pound the strike zone and get quick outs just like that right there.
Bluth to Mauer, one away. Bring up Rene Rivera. The Twins have been waiting and waiting for Alex Meyer to take the final step to the big leagues, and it's been a disappointing 2015 in that regard. The Twins are encouraged about Jose Barrios, who's at Double-A and looks to have absolutely electric stuff. Some people think he might make it up here at some point. Suddenly there's a new pitcher for Twins fans to start paying attention to. 21-year-old pitcher from Taiwan, Chi-Wei Hu, who last year dominated the Midwest League. Made 9 starts in Cedar Rapids, 55 innings, but he pitched really well. And he dominated high A to the point where now the Twins have bypassed Double-A with him and are promoting him to Triple-A. Now it's kind of a spot start situation, but the Twins would leave him or bring him up for 1 start. He'll get an opportunity to see whether he can make his dominant stuff in Class A translate to Triple-A.
Good luck to Mr. Hu.
Corey Hunter in right field makes the catch. And that'll bring in Kevin Kiermaier. Girls on the Run Twin Cities uses running to inspire girls to be healthy and confident. Saturday, May 30th, join Fox Sports North at the University of Minnesota for the Girls on the Run Spring 5K. Register, visit foxsportsnorth.com, click on upcoming events. What was your ascension through the Tiger minor league system?
It was quick. It was half a year in Double-A, half a year in Triple-A.
So you started in Double-A?
I did, right out of college. And I'm a firm believer that all players have to make the most out of their opportunities, that you're not going to get an indefinite number.
And that'll trickle through the left side of the infield. Kiermaier has a base hit. Rosario gets it back in quickly, a 2-out single.
But just think, if this young pitcher gets to the big leagues soon, the marketing that could transpire.
He had a picture.
All the fans could wear Dr. Seuss things, you know, and Whoville could be a huge part of. That could be fun.
Souza is 0 for 2. He struck out in the first and bounced to short in the fourth. His last name is spelled H-U. And I'm not sure of the circumstances, but last year while pitching for Cedar Rapids, he got on base and was standing on first base. And the photo went viral.
Who's on first?
Who was on first?
Alvin Costello, the greatest skid of all time. You know, I don't hear that very often, but when I do, I still laugh so hard, because for those guys to be able to just pull that off, just to be able to say what they say in that sketch is so funny.
Kiermaier, a base stealer. May will try to keep him close during the Souza at bat. A deep foul, very foul, 1 strike.
Well, pitch count's going to be a part of Trevor May's destiny here today again. He needs to get a quick out here, have a chance to pitch into the 7th inning, kind of break a barrier that he's had kind of a mind block to get through this year. And pitch count will play a part of it.
Teams are 3 for 3 in stolen base attempts with Trevor May on the mound. With Kiermaier's at bat and the resulting single, this is the beginning of the 3rd time Tampa Bay hitters have seen Trevor May. And there goes Kiermaier. Suzuki's throw not in time, coming in on 1 hop.
Good pitch to run on right there, kind of an off-speed breaking ball. He got a great jump.
And now he's got a problem. Remember, it was Kiermaier who was having an issue with his hand in his first inning at bat.
Might have got the wind knocked out of him. Holding the groin area.
The pitch is called a strike, so it's 0-2 to Souza when they resume play. still having an issue of some sort.
Well, I know what the issue is.
Okay.
I'm not really good at trying to explain this to a large audience, so in between innings, if you didn't quite get it, I will explain it to you.
The fact that others are smiling and enjoying the moment a lot more than Kiermaier is, I think we all can figure out what the issue was.
I think that's when you go from a base to a tenor.
2 strikes to Steven Souza Jr. Foul back with May. Upsetted himself for leaving that pitch up.
Too good a pitch right there. That he's just lucky he got away with that pitch. That's the pitch that Phil Hughes had trouble with last night. Let's see what this is. Right. Oh man. My eyes light up when I see those.
High fly right field.
That'll work.
A nice quick 12-pitch inning for Trevor May as he carries a 2-run lead to the bottom of the 5th.
Winner's Circle. It's the Minnesota State Lottery Winner's Circle. 100 scratch-off tickets from the Minnesota State Lottery, and it's a birthday party here. We got Jack Morris in the booth, but that's not the only birthday we're celebrating. You can see from the sign right there. And Lorene, you've got your daughter next to you, Jolene. It's her birthday. What a great birthday present.
Yes, it was.
And you're getting circled by fellow birthday boy, the hero of the '91 World Series, Jack Morris. What a thrill.
Thank you. Well, happy birthday, Jack.
Yeah, Jack, happy birthday. They brought cupcakes. We'll get them up to the booth for you very soon, and everybody's having fun out here today.
I don't like the cupcakes' chances of making it up here, Kevin. You may leave there with them, but I'm guessing by the time you get up here, they'll be gone. Dozier was hit by a pitch his last time up and was nearly hit by the first pitch from Bellotti there. Inside again, 2-0.
Bergie's got a lot of friends all over the place.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I kind of with you on that one.
Plus, he likes cupcakes.
Also want to say happy birthday to Kyle Hammer, the producer for Twins Radio.
Yes.
A lot of birthdays. Brian Dozier yesterday.
3-0. Twins got a leadoff walk in the first to Dozier, of course, and didn't score. He was hit by a pitch in the third. Didn't score. There's Kyle Hammer.
Another birthday boy presiding over Danny's daycare right there.
And a 4-pitch walk to start the 5th inning. Dozier so far today has reached all 3 times, hasn't scored a run. He has 2 walks. He was hit by a pitch once. Starting today, tied for second in the American League in runs scored, 1 behind Mike Trout. And now Torrey Hunter. 1 for 2. Hit a pop fly to right field in the first inning, and it landed in the grass, but Dozier was forced at second base. A strike. Ray's bullpen has been very good. They had to reconstruct that, including as well as their starting rotation. Away 1-1. Twins haven't seen Bellotti before, and you can imagine Dozier studying his every move from first base. The Rays tied with the Royals for the lowest team ERA. There goes Dozier. The pitch grounded up the middle. And Beckham, covering the bag on the stolen base attempt, is able to make a play on a ball that otherwise would have skipped up the middle.
No way was Cabrera going to get to that ball, but because Beckham was covering the base, he goes beyond second base over to the shortstop side of the bag and robs Torrey Hunter of a potential base hit.
Dozier at second, 1 down, and now Bauer. Tough day for Joe. The Twins had a rally in the first inning going, and then he hit into an inning-ending double play. Then runners at first and second in the third, and Bauer hit the identical ground ball. A little free hopper to the shortstop near the second base bag. Outside, ball 1. Left too many men in scoring position. He strung together 4 singles to score 3 runs in the second. There's a strike on the outside corner. Everybody in the American League Central won yesterday. White Sox came back to beat the A's late in the game in Oakland. There goes Dozier to third, and Rivera's throw in time to get him. Dozier with a left-handed batter up, the catcher Rivera had a clear shot at third base and threw out Dozier at third base. Twins can't challenge, of course, because, and he was tagged out on the shoulder anyway, but if that had been a closer play, the Twins already used up their challenge. 2 down, bases empty. Bouncer right side and a base hit.
Of course.
That was predictable, the way Joe's day has been going and the way the Twins have been unable to add to their total of 3 runs. May 30th is a DQ sensational Saturday. The Twins take on the Toronto Blue Jays. All fans will receive a Twins travel pillow courtesy of My Pillow. Go to twinsbaseball.com/tickets and get your tickets and then your pillow today. Now Plouffe, a couple of fly balls to center field. Off the outside corner, ball 1.
Again, the Tampa Bay Rays have the shift on the right side now for Trevor Plouffe. Got Beckham playing on the shortstop side of second base. Cabrera pulled around deep in the hole. Longoria kind of guarding the line deep at third.
High fly to left field. It is high, but not deep enough. Catch made by DeJesus. And the Twins get a walk and a single with no runs scored in the 5th. players to watch. Brian Dozier with a 7-game hitting streak, but he's reached 3 times but hasn't put a ball in play yet. Renzo Cain with 5 runs batted in against the Yankees last night. And Salazar was so good against the Twins last Sunday in a good one, good ball game. 7 innings, 11 strikeouts. And Garrett Cole,
pretty good one himself, isn't he?
He and Francisco Liriano, pretty good 1-2 punch for the Pirates. Longoria lifts one to right field. It's hit pretty well. Hunter going back over the track, making the catch, 1 away.
Another 1 pitch, 1 out. Good job, Trevor May.
But here he is, Jack. This is going to be, or that was his 80th pitch, and he's got 57 strikes. A better than 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio. So if you're a hitter, you're figuring, look, he's going to be around the plate much the same way that Phil Hughes is usually around the plate.
No base on balls either. So he's somehow coming back into counts, even though he's gotten deep in a few of them.
That he hasn't had any walks is quite a departure from his major league debut at Oakland. 1-0 to Loney. In his last start, 4 innings against the Indians, he walked 3. It's the only time he's walked more than 2 in a ball game this year. Out in front, 1-1.
Good changeup.
Pitches like that's what I was talking about. Just from the layman's standpoint, this guy seems to have a feel for when a hitter's going to be looking for a fastball and throwing something else for a strike.
Well, if he doesn't, his catcher should. And you know, I'm not sure which one called that, but they both agreed on it.
Pop up right side. Mauer camping under it. 2 down.
Look at a few of the pitches from Trevor May. A couple of the strikeouts. Good slider right there. Sinker on that one. Another sinker change up there. Having a little bit of a trouble when Kevin Longoria got into second base, but Eddie Rosario does a nice job running over into the corner to catch that ball. And a base hit by David DeJesus, I believe. Pitching coach comes out. Good result there. So Trevor May in position maybe to get into the 7th inning for the first time this year. There is some stirring now in the Twins bullpen. His pitch count's in pretty good shape. He can get a couple quick outs here, have a chance to go into the 7th inning.
1-1 to Forsythe. Forsythe, the 5th place hitter. So if he is retired, maybe May's chances of pitching in the 7th would be enhanced because it's the bottom of the Rays batting order that he would face. Over for a strike. 1-2. The Twins don't have an ace, a David Price type, a Justin Verlander type, up and away, but they can stay relevant and competitive with a balanced rotation, because in reality your number 5 starter gets every bit as many starts as your number 1 guy, and if you have balance and competitiveness and you can go through the rotation regularly, repeatedly, with quality starts and competitive starts, you can win a lot of ball games that way.
You're also seeing a change in baseball. When you look at the Kansas City Royals, do they have a bona fide ace? They have a bona fide ace in the bullpen.
Right.
And that's their 6, 7, 8 innings.
Practice down, running after it. Aaron Hicks in the gap makes a nice running catch. Outfield range. It's been in short supply for the Twins this year. But first Rosario in left and now Hicks in center. Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales Event ends June 1st. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. Getting 3 runs in the second inning. Winning last night 3-2. For an insurance run or 3 here in the 6th. Kurt Suzuki will lead things off. Suzuki, Escobar, and Rosario. This season for the Twins is off to a good start, but it may be marked by the transition that we've seen first in the bullpen and perhaps now in the outfield. The Twins have not played good outfield defense in a long time. But if the Twins win this game, it might be because of Rosario's catch in left and Hicks's catch in right center field. And if you're going to win 90 ball games, if you're going to contend for postseason play,
no question.
There
no
are
question.
necessarily games that you have to win with your defense.
Defense and pitching, starting pitching, and you look at starting pitching. Kyle Gibson, way more consistent this year. Trevor May, a sense that maybe it's moving in the right direction.
3-0 to Suzuki. And
Phil Hughes seems to be getting on track after a slow start in the month of April.
Twins have had 3 leadoff walks and a leadoff hit batter and haven't scored in any of those innings. Escobar will bat. He already has a single and a double.
Yeah, Belletti has walked 3 batters. All of those guys were the first men he's seen in each inning.
Yeah. Well, there are decisions that will need to be made on the roster, including in the bullpen, where the Twins have Tim Stauffer down at AAA now on a rehab assignment. But Presley and Tonkin have each shown glimpses of the ability to get some big outs late in games.
Some tough decisions ahead for Paul Molitor, Jerry Ryan, whoever's involved in those decisions.
Oswaldo Arce is taking batting practice.
You've got to weigh all the pluses and the minuses, and you know, what does this guy bring to the overall Minnesota Twins baseball team? And no question in my mind, the fact that improved defense can really add to quality of pitching. And pitching and defense is talked about so much. The Twins already have shown that they can put some runs on the board. So if they can improve in the pitching and defensive part, I think the ball club also improves.
Outside 2-0 to Escobar.
But it'll be interesting the next couple weeks, and some of these injuries are hopefully all cured.
(2-0) to Escobar. And Escobar backs away from the plate as he takes strike 1. Line off the glove of the first baseman Forsythe. Suzuki rounding second, on his way to third. Escobar has to hold up at second because Suzuki is held at third.
No question Eduardo would have gone to third base had it been a little bit faster runner. Kurt Suzuki was held up by Gene Glenn, the third base coach. But Eduardo had triple on his mind right there. Hits that ball hard again. Logan Forsythe does a good job just getting his glove on the ball. That might have been an easier triple had he not touched it. But again, Escobar just showing why Paul Molitor cannot afford to keep him out of the lineup.
Enjoying his return to shortstop. He's 3 for 3 with 2 doubles.
Yep.
And now Rosario with 2 men in scoring position. Jim Hickey to the mound. The Twins really need to cash in here. They've had scoring opportunities.
A great opportunity. Nobody out. Runners in second and third.
They had first and second, nobody out in the third. They had first and second, one out in the fourth. The leadoff walk and a following single in the fifth. And now with nobody out, 2 men in scoring position, Rosario, who has singled and scored a run. He also drew his first big league walk his last time up. Infield in.
It's one thing you're seeing more of too from this Minnesota Twins team. 2015 is the bottom of the order being able to produce runs.
Rosario with 6 runs batted in and 6 different plate appearances. Makes a strike on the outside corner. Rosario drove in the first run of the ball game with the second inning single. By Rivera, 1-1. It hasn't been the 10th time. It just seems like it. The Rays have had their infield in the last 2 games, and the Twins haven't really made them pay for it yet. Speed pitch, a swing and a miss.
Worst case scenario, you want Rosario to hit a fly ball to the outfielder somewhere. Give Suzuki a chance to tag and score. Twins won a ball game yesterday because Brian Dozier was able to do that. Danny Santana on third base.
You can put together a good at bat here behind in the count 1-2. Same pitch, the same result. Strike 2 immediately followed by strike 3, 1 away. That'll bring up Hicks.
That's kind of what you were talking about, Dick, is swinging over anxious, swinging out of the zone. Ball really tailed away.
Hicks has come up in spots like this twice before today with the infield in. 2 men in scoring position and 1 out. He hit a chopper to Forsythe. Then in the 4th inning, he hit a liner to center with runners at first and second and 1 out. And that's a nice stop by Rivera, who's able to scoop it up. Ball landing in the right-handed batter's box. Ball 1. Hicks has actually hit the ball hard twice. Barrel of the bat on it in each case. Doesn't have much to show for it yet. Foul. 1-1. The message to Hicks has been this year, have better at bats, show some improvement and all that, but understand, really talented baseball player, and you can impact the game even in a game where you go 0 for 4. Now he's already done that with the great catch here in the top of the 6th. Now an opportunity to do some damage at the plate. Just off the plate, 2-1.
It's very early in Paul Molitor's managerial career, but one thing I know about Paul is that he will hope that they become more conscious of baseball activity within the game, just to be able to concentrate and have awareness and understand where you go, what you do, what's the count, you know, all the things that baseball you either love about or hate it as a fan. But it's never a game that's dull if you're really paying attention to every pitch has a reason for everybody to have a place to go.
Foul back. 2-2. Nick's a little frustrated because I think he got a pitch he could handle and he didn't handle it. Another great chance for the Twins to add to their lead. Bellotti struck out Rosario, and now he has 2 strikes on Hicks. 1-2 with Santana on deck.
Doing a good job of grinding out this at bat. Don't give away at bats, especially with runners in scoring position.
Struck him out. 2 down. That will leave this rally in the 6th to Danny Santana.
Danny Santana has had a very good series here last night. His triple that went down into the corner, and is watching him round the bags. Earlier today, bat died a hero, but he picks up 2 RBI with that base hit just out of the reach of shortstop Asdrubal Cabrera.
Santana fouls it off of Rivera, strike 1. Man, live Twins have had so many scoring opportunities all year long. They've done a very good job with men in scoring position. Bellotti with big strikeouts of Rosario and Hicks, and he's on the verge of pitching out of this mess after his leadoff walk and Escobar's double. One strike for the Twins' designated hitter. Leadoff man to 9th. Much better numbers hitting where he's been hitting. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Paul Mallard has Danny Santana hitting 9th today, but also the designated hitter, giving Escobar the chance to play short. Not too many times you're going to see a DH hitting 9th.
Driven in 2 of the 3 runs, and he can pick up 2 more with a hit to the outfield. Foul back, came inside, tried to hit strike 3 on the inside corner. Another 1-2 pitch to Danny Santana. 2-2.
Pitching coaches often tell pitchers every pitch has a purpose. And even some waste pitches have a purpose. I'm not sure that last pitch had any purpose. It was just too wild.
What a job by Bellotti. He gives up a leadoff walk on 4 pitches, a double to Escobar, and then strikes out Rosario, Hicks, and Santana.
getting a base hit. And that'll score Kurt Suzuki. Danny Santana, broken bat. Little blooper over the shortstop's head. That picks up the second and third run for the Twins. Trevor May doing a good job in today's game. Just allowing the one run in the fourth inning, striking out a few. And for the first time in quite some time, he sees the seventh inning. So maybe Trevor May is finally going to be able to get through 7, turn it over to the bullpen, feel good about his effort today.
David DeJesus will lead off the 7th inning, followed by Asdrubal Cabrera and Tim Beckham. Down the line, and a fair ball to Jesus with an extra base hit to start the 7th inning. On the first pitch of the 7th inning, Jesus goes after the first pitch and gets a double. Twins leading by 2 runs, but the Rays have to feel pretty good because the Twins have had so many chances to add to the 3-run total. Take a look at this ball going down the line.
He must have hit the chalk. Well, just 6 inches or so, but you want a guy to be aggressive. I know Neil Allen told Trevor May, pound that strike zone. We want you to get ahead, work ahead. That pitch right there. David DeJesus knows that. He hasn't walked anybody. He's expecting the ball over the plate. He got one.
Ball missing inside. Cabrera has a triple and a fly ball to right.
A little activity now in the Twins bullpen. Right-hander and a left-hander. It's like Michael Tonkin might be the right-hander. Brian Dunsing, I believe, the left-hander.
Swing and a miss and a high fastball. Your eyes are better than mine.
Pretty good guess.
Yeah, your eyes are better than mine. 1-1 to Asdrubal Cabrera. 2-1. Back 2-2. Cabrera not hitting much this year, but the Twins very familiar with him and his prowess as a hitter.
Many years with the Cleveland Indians, brief period of time over there with the Washington Nationals.
To short left. Rosario comes in, makes the catch, 1 away. For Beckham's at bat. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with AYSO, the world's largest soccer club. Go to aso.org/play to find your region and sign up for your fall team today. Never too early to, I guess, plan ahead for fall, but we're not into summer yet. We're still in May. Beckham struck out swinging in the 3rd, hit a ground ball to Plouffe in the 5th. Slow breaking ball, missing. Ball 1.
Trevor May kind of has slowed his pace down a little bit. He's being very methodical, trying to make sure that he doesn't make mistakes over the middle. He got a runner in scoring position. 2-run lead to work with. Maybe his last inning, 96 pitches.
2-0. Beckham, the 8th place hitter. Rivera in the on-deck circle. Rockies have 6 hits. They got 3 of them in the 4th inning when they scored their lone run. They had a leadoff triple and didn't score. Now a leadoff double in the 7th. Fouled back. Oh, what a catch. Oh, right in front of us.
Right in front of us. The guy did not lose his nachos, his cheese, or anything.
And didn't bother standing up. Was nonchalantly played, but beautifully played.
I think the gal behind him might have spilled some of her beverage, anticipating a ricochet rabbit.
2-1 to Beckham. Deep to left. Very deep to left. And a tie game. Beckham's 4th of the year, and it's 3 apiece.
One pitch, and it kind of ruins the afternoon for Trevor May, who has really been pitching a very good ball game. But Paul Mahler, tough decision to make here. He's at that 100-pitch count, right around. Leave him in there for one more hitter. Rene Rivera, not the greatest hitter. Give him a chance to maybe have his team score him another run, or what? He's going to get the chance right here with Rivera.
Breaking ball missing. The Twins failed to add to their 3-run total and now find themselves in a tie game 2-0, and Suzuki's going to slowly walk the ball back to the mound.
Yeah.
The pitches where Mays just got too much of the plate here in the 7th inning. De Jesus with a leadoff double, fair by about a foot down the right field line, but a no doubt home run has tied the game in the 7th.
We'll see. My theory on that is I was kind of downplaying Tim Beckham's ability, saying, who is this Tim Beckham guy? He's hitting 8th. Let's not worry about him. And boom, home run. Tie game.
Now 3-0 to the light hitting Rene Rivera. He's fouled out to Mauer and hit a fly ball to Hunter. 3-1.
Trevor has not walked the ball batter today for Tampa.
Plouffe cuts it off, going to his left. 2 down. And Kiermaier coming to the plate, keeping an eye on Paul Molitor and pondering what he wants to do here. Indecision, and the decision's been made. 6 2/3 innings for Trevor May. And a couple of mistakes have cost him a couple of runs here in the 7th inning. Got through the Rays lineup 3 times, got 20 outs. The one thing he won't be getting is a win. couple of extra base hits and a couple of runs, and it's a frustrated Trevor May handing the ball and the game off to left-hander Brian Dunsing.
And there's Brian Dunsing's numbers for the year. He's in his 13th game now. He's had a high ERA, kind of struggled since coming back from the disabled list. Paul Molitor has brought him in kind of a situational 1 out. Needs to get out the left-hander right here.
Tap to the right side. 1 pitch. Gets the Twins off the field in the top of the 7th, but the Rays have tied it. The Twins will have the top of their lineup due up in the bottom of the 7th. Second baseman Brian Dozier, who will lead things off in the 7th.
Take a look at some of Brian Dozier's home runs. He loves that ball up around letter high. Very, very quick hands on the inner part of the plate. Just a very good ability to keep the hands on top of the ball. Had a home run on his birthday last night off Jake Odorizzi. Maybe Brian can get a high fastball off the new pitcher, Kevin Jepson, who pitched in last night's game.
Bellotti did a nice job pitching out of difficulty, and now Jepson will face Dozier, Hunter, and Bauer. Ball over, strike 1. Dozier's reached 3 times. 2 walks, and he was hit by a pitch. Breaking pitch. This one on the outside corner, and it's 0-2.
Appears to be another close ball game for the Minnesota Twins. Can they figure out a way to put the winning running on and maybe give a save opportunity again to Glenn Perkins?
3rd straight breaking ball, this one in the dirt. Lost a series opener to the Yankees and then won the next 3 games.
It's funny, Dick, that I was fortunate enough to be on 4 World Championship teams, and the common denominator that I had in those teams is late in the games when they tied the games up, it was almost like a wake-up call. Look at that.
Breaking ball line hard to Forsythe.
Forsythe played absolutely perfect there. Ball was typically right in the hole between first and second base. Hit hard. Another tough break for Minnesota Twins.
And an interesting at bat here for Torrey Hunter. Remember when he started his hot streak, hit a big home run here in the last homestand, and he had seen the pitcher throw Brian Dozier nothing but breaking balls, and he figured he was slidered out, so he sat on a fastball and clubbed it into the seats. We'll see what Jepson gives Hunter here. Got the fastball, and he grounds it through the hole to left. So Hunter's aboard with a 1-out single, and that brings up Bauer.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins and his buddy LLNC.
See, the shortstop Cabrera is right about where Bauer's hit the ball to him twice with a man at first. They need a gapper here. They need to quickly respond and retake the lead here. Hunter at first with 1 out. And there is strike 1.
Getting back to my point, though, the common denominator between all those good teams is like when the game got tied late, it was almost like a wake-up call for us. And we're able to turn it up another gear offensively and put some runs right back on the board. Just kind of like this inning. Brian Dozier hits the ball sharply, makes an out, but Torrey Hunter on first base. Now can Joe Mauer do his part to move the runner, keep the wheel moving, get the Twins back on the scoreboard.
1-1 to Mauer. No ball single to right his last time up. Side 2-1. Boyer, Tonka, pair of right-handers. And Mauer takes ball 3. Mauer just 1 for 6 over the years against Jepson. Blue on deck.
Well, they say a walk's as good as a hit. Any way to get Torrey Hunter into scoring position.
And Mauer takes a walk. And another scoring opportunity for the Twins. Another man in scoring position, this time for Blue.
5th walk given up by Tampa Bay Rays pitchers today. Like I said, you just need to take advantage of this.
Twins have had a runner at second base in every inning but the first inning. Twins, of course, for a while hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position, and just 2 for 10 today, and those 2 came in the 3-run flurry of hits in the second inning. Two on for the cleanup hitter. Fastball burning the outside corner.
Pitcher's pitch right there. Trevor's maybe looking for a mistake, something middle half that he can drive.
Box tracks presented by Carey. Just off the plate. Almost the identical spot as the prior pitch. 1-1.
Jerry Meals, the home plate umpire, agreeing with Mr. Foxtrax.
And that one catches the plate.
Jepson doing a great job keeping that ball down and away. Now Trevor going to have to do something with it. He throws it there again. He's going to have to put an effort to try to drive that ball to the right side.
1-2. Tapper to the mound. Thrown off target. And an error by the pitcher will fill the bases.
Well, there's the break the Twins might have been looking for. I'm not sure that was going to be a double play ball. That ball was hit too slowly for Jepson to really go to second base. He takes Beckham off the bag with that throw and did not take the sure out at first base. You see, it's going to take a perfect throw, and he just got underneath it.
I tell you what, that's a heck of a play by Beckham to catch that ball. You're in the vicinity of the bag, and that ball was sailing into the gap in right center field, so that the Twins haven't scored the go-ahead run. It's in part because Beckham can make a tough catch. A terrible throw. Suzuki with the bases loaded.
So Plouffe is on with the fielder's choice. Error given to the pitcher.
Rays committed an error. Cabrera did last night. The Twins weren't able to cash in. We'll see whether the extra out they get, the extra man in scoring position, will pay off here in the seventh.
Jepson did a great job of his pitch location with Trevor on that, but
a high fly to right field. Retreating is Souza on the warning track. Tagging the front two runners. The Twins have retaken the lead. And the mistake by Jepson has already cost the Rays 1 run.
Doing the little things right there. Kurt Suzuki, like Brian Dozier in last night's game, able to lift the ball deep enough to the outfield to score. Torrey Hunter from third base for the go-ahead run. That's just good, smart hitting right there.
Escobar, who already has a 3-hit game, hoping to add another run. Escobar with a single and a run scored in the second and a pair of doubles.
That run right there gives Trevor May now a chance to win this ball game. Or excuse me, no, that was not the case. I'm sorry, Brian.
Dunsing came in through one pitch. Right. There you go. There's your theory again.
Well, we talked about the vultures. I forgot about that. That's right. Dunce threw a pitch. Now Dunce probably out of the game. He could win a game by throwing one pitch.
Escobar takes a strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Dunsing a couple of years ago won both ends of a doubleheader, kind of similar circumstances against the White Sox.
Was gassed. Threw about 6 pitches.
1-1 to Eduardo Escobar. Plouffe checked at first. Well, it hasn't been the prettiest run scored this year, but the Twins will take it.
Got a break. Pitcher threw the ball away, gave them the opportunity, and that opportunity they capitalized on.
Base hit right field. What an afternoon for Eduardo Escobar. Kicked in right by Souza, and now he throws to Longoria. A 4-hit game for Eduardo Escobar.
And the crowd showing their appreciation, on their feet, applauding Escobar. Big game for Eduardo. Big run right there. Good job by Trevor Plouffe getting to third base, challenging the arm of the right fielder Souza.
He booted the ball out in right field. And Kevin Cash coming to the mound here.
They're going to give him an error.
And they're going to make a pitching change as well. So Rosario will hit against a new pitcher. The Twins already have a couple of unearned runs on the board, and they've retaken a 2-run lead here at Target Field. quite a day for himself.
What a day. A base hit up the middle to have his first at bat. He finally comes around to score in that inning. And a couple of doubles. That went right past the first baseman. The base hit. Big hit right there. Plating Joe Mauer for the 2-run lead now for the Twins. So Eduardo Escobar, just a great game offensively. Jepson's going to think about what we had just talked about, how every player on every pitch has to anticipate, where do I go, what do I do if the ball's hit back at me? And I think he made a poor choice on that ball that was hit back to him by going to second base. Had he gone to first, taken the sure out, the next hitter, Kurt Suzuki, his sac fly that scored the go-ahead run, would have been out number 3. So just always thinking, and that's what this game's all about.
Rosario with an RBI single and a run scored in the second, a walk in the fourth, and a strikeout in the sixth. Rivera again digs one out of the dirt. It's 2-0. Rosario struck out with runners at second and third and nobody out in the 6th inning. Then Hicks did the same thing. Then Santana struck out. And the Twins just gave away a great scoring opportunity. Saw the Rays tie it with 2 runs on the top of the 7th, and now have answered with 2 in the bottom. Swing and a miss. Cutting loose on 2-0. Earlier, Rosario with 2 nice plays in left field. One didn't impact the scoring, but he nearly threw out Longoria on a double and then made a nice running catch in the corner. 2-1 to the Twins left fielder. 2-2. Part of a pretty good bullpen for the Rays. 16th appearance. He actually made a start. He's one of 8 different guys to start at a game for the Rays. You saw the numbers, just 8 hits in 16 2/3 innings. Rosario trying to pick up a big RBI here in the 7th. Escobar takes off and Rosario strikes out. Not a foul ball. It is strike 3. The inning ends. The Twins get a couple of unearned runs. They're back in front by 2.
Sports Update. The Twins continue their weekend series with the Tampa Bay Rays at Target Field. Join us on Sunday afternoon. Our coverage begins at 12:30 on Fox Sports North. It's Game 3 of this series. And now, back to baseball.
And the Twins back in front by 2, thanks in part to Eduardo Escobar, who drove in the 5th run. Lane Boyer's been one of the great stories for the Twins this year. He has 13 consecutive scoreless outings covering 15 innings, and he's trying to extend both those streaks here this afternoon.
Really making the most out of the opportunity he has. He's really become the setup man now for Glenn Perkins, and done just a great job since really finding that flaw earlier in the season. Worked with Neil Allen. They said they found a little something in his delivery and fixed it. And he's added velocity, he's added command. Done a very good job.
Tap foul on off-speed pitch 0-2. Souza, Longoria, Loney facing Boyer. Aaron Thompson warming up in the Twins bullpen. Game is set up right now for another save opportunity for Glenn Perkins. Oh, 2 to the leadoff man in the 8th. Suzuki set up down and away, and Boyer left it out over the plate. And a foul ball. Bullpen has evolved since opening day. Boyer's stature has increased in the bullpen mix. Slow breaking ball. Plouffe backhands, sets, fires.
Wow.
Fine play by Trevor Plouffe behind the third base bag.
We've talked so many times about the improvement defensively that Trevor Plouffe has made. All the hard work. Right there, he's showing off the strong arm. He gets to the ball, sets, plants, and then just a rocket over to Joe Mauer, easily getting it. Steven Souza Jr.
One down, Evan Longoria. Fastball down the middle. To the backstop, 1-1. Longoria not leading the Rays in home runs, but he is their best hitter and their most established power hitter. So very nice play under any circumstances for Plouffe to get the first out. Inside, a check swing and a strike. 1-2.
Well, Boyer's asked to go through the heart of the lineup, really. 2, 3, and 4 hitters.
I don't know about that one.
I know, he called it a strike, so we're just going to go ahead and go with it.
Okay. 1-2. High fly right field. Hunter toward the line. Out number 2, a fair ball catch. It started with Torrey Hunter, but all 3 outfielders have made a good catch here today.
It's been a good day for the Twins outfielders. Torrey Hunter doing a good job running there. Eddie Rosario sprinting over the line before he met the wall. Aaron Hicks on his horse right there, running down this ball. That's just absolutely knowing where the ball's going to be and doing a great job. So much improved outfield defense. It's made a difference in this ball game.
Here's Loney, and Boyer will get a chance to pitch to him because the bases are empty. I suspect Thompson was warming up in the event there was a runner or runners, and then Paul Molitor would bring in the lefty to face Loney, but that not being the case, Thompson can just stay out in the bullpen for now.
back off his throwing, save the bullets.
So it really all goes hand in hand, doesn't it? The Twins were able to get the first out of this inning because of a nice fielding play, and that may end up saving Aaron Thompson an appearance, which might make him a little fresher for tomorrow's game. At least that's the hope. Yep. 1-1. Popped up to left. Rosario comes in a couple of steps. How about Blaine Boyer? Another scoreless inning. He has been outstanding.
By CenturyLink, there were some missed opportunities early, but the Twins break through in the 7th to get this lead. Trevor May was solid on the mound. We're going to take you inside the clubhouse. You're going to hear from Paul Mauder about the Twins again playing good baseball at home. And earlier, guys, Car Soup question was all about the Triple Crown. We know American Pharoah runs a little after 5 o'clock looking for the second leg of the horse racing's Triple Crown. But on the baseball side, the Car Soup question, who hit the most home runs inside one of those Triple Crown seasons? Interesting question. Some good players. We just saw Cabrera do it back in 2012. We'll let you guys answer that one.
Mickey Mantle, 52 of them back in 1956. That's our CarSoup.com trivia question and answer. Here's Aaron Hicks facing Ernesto Frieri. And Hicks with a beautiful bunt in front of Longoria, who makes a sensational play. Evan Longoria ended up behind home plate. And what looked to be a beautiful bunt single for Aaron Hicks has turned into an out.
It was a perfectly executed bunt. That's exactly where you want it. The trouble is, Evan Longoria reacted as well as Aaron Hicks did. Look at how quickly he gets to that ball, makes a perfect throw, and it really wasn't even close. Evan Longoria, again, one of the game's best third basemen defensively. Big league play.
Danny Santana with a 2-run single and a pair of strikeouts. Fouled away, 1-1. Frieri, former closer for the Angels. Fly ball to center field. Kiermaier shading his eyes with his glove. 2 down. I don't know about it. For a horse to win the Triple Crown, they need 3 good days, right? For a baseball player to win the Triple Crown, you gotta have 150 really good days, don't you?
You do. The trouble is, not all the horses run all 3 races, right?
Right.
Now you got a horse like Secretariat who had a heart and a half.
Right.
I mean, he could probably have won the Triple Crown backwards. But how about if I just agree that both are difficult, and that I'm going to probably pull a little bit more for baseball because I know how hard it is.
Now, I've never owned a horse, but people I know who've owned them say that baseball players are cheaper to feed.
Well, I have owned 2 different breeds twice in my life, and I can promise you I will never own another one.
High fly to left field. Dozier hanging one toward the corner. De Jesus to the wall. It's gone.
We're talking horses, and right there, Brian Dozier gets on his horse and sends another one over the fence.
Home run number 6 for Dozier.
Home runs in both 2 games here against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Pitch was a sinker down and in, it looked like, and Dozier was able to elevate it.
Anything inside. I think Brian Dozier just really does a good job of handling the ball inside. Breathing room right there for Glenn Perkins.
And Hunter lifts one to right center field. That's chased by Kiermaier. And good thing the right fielder Souza was there, because Kiermaier overplayed it. A Dozier home run, an insurance run in the 8th for Glenn Perkins. Dozier with a home run, his second of the series, to give the Twins a 6-3 lead. And Glenn Perkins will come on after having picked up career save number 100 last night.
Pretty good numbers for Glenn Perkins. He's established himself as one of the premier closers in the game. Very, very good fastball. Tough on right-handed hitters, and has struggled this year against lefties, but he did get out a left-hander last night, so the numbers are just climbing in the right direction.
Faced Forsythe last night, got him to fly out to center. It'll be Forsythe to Jesus and Cabrera scheduled in the 9th. Fly ball down the left field line. It's a foul ball. And lands on the warning track. Perkins has gone up and in on Forsythe with his first 2 pitches. Perkins got the first 2 outs in a 1-run game last night. Gave up a pair of singles before getting Joey Butler to end the game. Just inside 2-1.
the good things about Glenn Perkins is he is not afraid to throw the ball inside, especially to right-handers.
Foul back into the press box. To left and hit well. Rosario to the wall. It's gone. A home run. Forsythe hitting his 4th of the year, and it's 6-4. Perkins, the first home run he's given up this year. Geyer will pinch hit for DeJesus. Geyer pinch hit last night against Perkins and delivered a single to left field. He was the tying run. He was left at second base. Popped up down the right field line toward the seats. And Mauer makes the catch. That ball looked like it was peeling back toward the field, and Mauer was able to stay with it and get to the railing for the catch. One down.
Good job by Joe Mauer to keep his eye on the baseball. You know that that wall is close. You drift on over there. He takes a peek a couple times to see where that wall is, and then is able to still pick up the ball. Great job right there. First out of the 9th inning.
There, that's a pretty good recognition by the fan. But now a base hit to right center field from Cabrera, and the Rays will have the tying run coming to the plate. Cabrera with his 2nd hit this afternoon. And here comes Tim Beckham, who homered his last time up. And now for what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink.
It's going to be a great pitching matchup. Chris Archer has established himself as one of the good young pitchers in this game. Kyle Gibson kind of having a breakout year, showing that consistency that they've been looking for. It should be a good matchup here tomorrow.
Cabrera singled against Perkins last night in the 9th, and now his base hit gets Beckham, who jumps after that first pitch and fouls it back. 1 strike.
Beckham, the guy that kind of ruined Trevor May's day with his home run, a 2-run home run in the top half of the 7th inning.
He's have 4 hits and 8 at bats against Glenn Perkins. Swing and a miss, 0-2. All the hits have been from right-handed batters. Rene Rivera in the on-deck circle. Rays carry 13 pitchers. They have just 3 possible bench moves, and they've already used 1. Geyer. 0-2. Right down the middle. Perkins cut the plate in half with a mid-90s fastball. 2 down. And now Butler will hit for Rivera. Butler made the last out last night against Perkins. He had a comebacker to the mound, and Perkins was able to throw him out to preserve the 1-run win. Butler has some pop, and he fouls the first pitch away. 4 extra base hits and 38 at bats, a couple of home runs. Fouled away. This one back into the seats. 0-2.
Crowd coming to their feet. Glenn Perkins pitch away from picking up a save. Another Twins home win. See if they can get it done right now.
Got him with a slider. Perkins gets the save. And the Twins are now 14-5 here at Target Field this year.
Timing is everything. The Twins were able to capitalize on a mistake in their half of the 7th inning. Pitcher at the time was Kevin Jepson, I think. Steve Geltz, one of the two. It was Jepson. Threw the ball away at second base and opened the door for the Twins to go ahead. Just a good win again for the Twins. They keep winning at home.
Twins have already won the series and will try tomorrow, Tom Hanneman, to sweep the Rays here at Target Field.
Dick, everything's coming up roses for the Twins in May. For the moment, they own the most wins in Major League Baseball this month. Coming up on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, we'll break down Eduardo Escobar's 4-hit day here from Maui and preview the series finale.